The following interview is with Careers Quest founder Matt. Careers Quest is a Solana-based NFT gaming project that has recently seen a meteoric rise in floor prices and attention. The project utilizes token-bound NFTs, a divergence from the normal type of mint that we've seen in recent months. We take a lot of time to talk to Matt about his past experiences and his approach to building the project and what sets this project apart from many of the others. It's a fun interview. We get to learn a lot about Matt's history. We get to learn about why this project is different. We get to see how he's using smart contracts to create a project that brings value back to its holders and early participants. He talks a lot about community and how community is the basis for everything that a project should be focused on, and how listening to that community often leads to the best outcomes. It's really a fun interview, so I hope you sit back and enjoy. As always, thank you to our sponsors that make this possible. A special thank you to Beanie for helping this interview be possible. And as always, please leave your feedback, comments. It means a lot and helps build a better show. Thank you. Now please enjoy.
Dope. I'm excited, man. This is I think every cycle there's a project that out of nowhere and against all odds, it mints out. And maybe not all odds, but it's sitting there long enough where anybody had the opportunity to mint it.
Yeah.
You can't be like, hey, insiders, this is all insiders, all the cabal, all the KOLs. You had one of the largest influencers in the entire space, literally standing on top of the tallest building in the world, screaming at any person who would listen to him, mint this project, you're going to regret it, and was met to deaf ears. And now look at you. You're 9x above your mint price of 1 SOL. You're at, actually, you might be 10x. I think your floor is almost at 10 SOL.
I think so.
You're one of the most talked about projects doing the most volume on the Solana ecosystem. You're one of the most talked about NFT projects in all of NFTs at this point. You have more mints coming that are free if you minted, so you're driving more value back to your original minters. It's amazing. It's super exciting. For anybody who does not know what Careers Quest is, can you just give us the real quick elevator pitch and why they should be paying attention at this point? If they're still ignoring you, why should they finally start paying attention?
It's really hard to do an elevator pitch on this product just because there's like so much to it. But I mean, the original concept is it's going to be a game, right? A game that rewards its basically early supporters and future supporters, all without kind of diluting value to the people that hold the actual product itself. So I mean, at its core, it's a game, but it's much more than that. So it's going to be a platform, it's going to be a flywheel where basically rewards go back into the game itself. And, I want to make it competitive. I don't want to make it so idle. I want to make it kind of, engaging, because I feel like at the same time, a lot of people get lazy when you put stuff on idle. And then it's like, it honestly dies off. You know what I mean? Like these idle games and these idle things, if it's too easy, if it's too like on easy mode, it gets boring, right? I feel like it kind of gets boring. And I feel like there needs to be like an element of kind of like, fun and risk, like real risk, you know what I mean? And putting rewards at risk while you stake, you know what I mean? That doesn't help you just going idle. So you can go idle, but if you're idle, you might lose. And then the person that's hungry, they might get it. They might get other people, somebody that's hungrier than you, and you're just sitting there idle, they might go get it. You know what I mean? That's kind of like how I'm looking at it in the game sense. And then just, with the actual product itself, just stacking value on value on value, right? Because I really just want to keep, putting value into the ecosystem. That's my main goal. It's always been my main goal on any product, that I've really kind of conceptualized in this space, because I feel like that's what it needs. Not only that, just really about community. I really have come to learn the value of community in this space, and like, it's everything, it's everything. You got Discord, which is like, your devout kind of supporters, your community, your base community, people that have already got in, and they're there. And then you've got like Twitter, which is basically, your billboard, where you got to go out and find a new audience. You got to find a new people to come to your project. And, that's really why, like, I think I've said we got like the Genesis Quest coming, right? So the Genesis Quest is really to do that. You're going to get rewarded more for stuff on Twitter, just because that's going to bring in new people and that's going to help, broaden our economy as a community in whole, not just like for the people that are already in there.
Right. It seems like you guys are taking the most successful parts of every other project, and not only in the NFT space, but also in the token, on the liquid side. You're taking the best parts and pulling them all into one project. You have token bound NFTs, you have a referral system, you have a multiplier system, you have renaming, you have bundling. I mean, there's almost like no end to it, and you're in
even a consumption mechanism. So like, even if you look at pets right now, I mean, obviously that's not where we're going in the direction of that, but like
right.
we even have a consumption mechanism where additions can be consumed and give benefit to like, other cards and stuff like that too. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on.
On the sustainability side of that consumption side, you see most projects that in their minds, the direction to go is over the next year, we're going to have more assets under management and new collections, et cetera. You guys are approaching this a little bit differently, saying, hey, the first 2,500 that get minted, those are the master bundles. We're never going to mint more master bundles, and then everything kind of comes off of that. But it is a
well, no, we might mint more master editions. Okay. Again, it's all about balance, right? So we don't want to flood the market, right? We don't want to dilute value, but at the same time, we don't want to get in a position where this project or when this project grows to a point where there's not even enough supply to meet demand, right? So I know people like, if you do the math, a quick math, like on the 1,500, it's I think it prices in or puts about like 500 players, potentially maybe 300 to 500 players. It's not very much, right? And that's assuming everybody opened up 15 mints on their master editions, which is probably not going to happen because you're going to have people that are just hodling them and they're never going to do anything with them, right? So at least maybe half of that, right? So you're talking about an ecosystem right now in its current kind of supply that's maybe, again, this is all speculation because I don't know because it's in the master edition, it's in their power to control supply and how much they want to put out the cards, right? So I mean, it's maybe like, I don't know, like 150, 200 players. So in order to increase that, we have the ability up to 20,000 total. Again, we would never just flood the market with 20,000, but maybe we do another like 1,000, 2,000, and like I said, it needs to grow with the game and with the project itself. And I don't know if people have been attention, but we will always give, if we do open up more supply, we're always going to give the master editions first dibs. It's been established that it's going to be a minimum 24-hour whitelist mint for master edition owners if we ever do open up any more of that minting. And it could be longer.
Again, driving value back to your original supporters, your original owners, right? Yeah, that's been a very strong theme, and you've been vocal about it, but you don't see as many projects thinking that way of how do I provide value back. An interesting one that I saw mentioned yesterday that I wasn't aware of was you guys are giving the ability for 50% of royalties. Can you just walk through what I mean, obviously the mindset is drive value back to holders. But I don't think we've seen that before. I stay away from saying like absolutes, but I don't remember the last time a project's been like, hey, like holders get 50% or even a portion of it. Walk me through the thought process there.
So I come from a pretty big like affiliate marketing background, and I've created a lot of custom marketing tools, analytic tools, like lead management solutions.
Okay.
So I have a very kind of long history of just like that type of mindset, and I think it's always important to reward anybody who's kind of bringing value to your product. You know what I mean? And I think it's, at a base 50%, even when I was kind of doing affiliate marketing, it was huge. I would love to like promote and make like something like that. You know what I mean? Obviously we're talking, royalties, but at the same time minting. So minting is kind of like the product for the affiliate. So I think like a 50%, win on your edition is big, and then you can actually even boost that up to 75%, which for me back in the day, if I could find like an affiliate program that would give me like 75, 80%, man, I was locked in. I was sending them all my traffic.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it was a no-brainer because you had people doing like 10, 5, like 15, 20, whatever. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah,
Right,
okay.
yeah.
You know, if I have no other solution and I have nothing good to kind of promote at the time, sure, I'll take it. But you know, those big kind of like rev shares were awesome, and I was like, man, I'm just, you know, I know personally how it made me feel, so I wanted to kind of, you know, at least offer that. And I think if people, once they get, I know people aren't going to get it right away, but I think that once they do kind of start getting into it and understanding it, and that we're going to have a very automated system, so it's not even something that you need to kind of like sit there and manage yourself. Like the mints are going to be fully automated. So if like one of your additions get like one of let's say one of the additions that are in supply or in circulation gets destroyed, and you set your supply to like 10 and it's gone down to 9, so now mint will automatically open up in the mint explore page for anybody who wants to go mint that edition again. And then the minting fees automatically get distributed. And yeah, I mean that's what it is.
It's exciting for me to see new mechanics being introduced. So many new mechanics being introduced into one project. I think the hesitation, and again, I obviously am a holder, so disclosure there. I am excited for what you guys are doing. My original hesitation was there's so much going on here. I was like, well, I don't understand it all. But I think I think my real quick kind of vocalization to the listeners is, even though there's a lot happening here, it doesn't require you to be doing, like, you don't actively have to be sitting there managing all these NFTs if you mint, you know, if you hold one of them. A lot of this is behind the scenes. It's automated work being done for you. And you have a very smart team who clearly you guys have smart people in your ears. You have Beanie again, telling you and advising you. I mean, that's probably been exciting to work with him.
Yeah, for sure. We bounce ideas back, you know, back and forth. Something for me, always kind of, you know, working with somebody is you need to be able to bounce ideas back and forth between people. You need to be able to take criticism. You need to be able to bite the bullet sometimes and admit you're wrong and kind of, you know, just move forward with something. And Beanie's really good at that. Beanie's really good at kind of, you know, bringing up uncomfortable topics sometimes and forcing people and pushing them past their boundaries. I mean, I've known the guy for a long time. And you know, we've actually worked on projects together before, non-crypto related. And he's really good at pushing people like beyond their boundaries and kind of pushing them to their max potential. Right. So if I was to say one thing about Beanie, and I know what there's like stuff with like I guess the Pixel Vault and that, but like honestly, I'm sure Pixel Vault's success is all Beanie pushing that team to their max potential, and that's what he excels at. He excels at that.
There is no bullshitting Beanie. There is no fooling Beanie. Again, I said this pre-stream. I have a lot of respect for the guy on his ability to understand the market dynamics, and also he demands a lot. So, yeah, totally get that. I am curious. You know, I have a list of questions here, and I think the number one question on top of all of this that I have, and I think is important, is why Solana? You've seen the meta be L2s leading up into your launch, and obviously EVM or mainnet NFT gaming stuff has been really hot. Why Solana? When
well, we had the option also to kind of pivot last minute to like an abstract or something like that, right? Like we had definitely, you know, Beanie helping out with that, and we had options, but I really feel like Solana is like you know, a chain for the people. I feel like the other chains, they're very VC oriented, right? So you've got, I mean, that's good, you know, it's its own kind of ecosystem. It's good, and there's a lot of money floating around in those ecosystems also. And you know, I think that's where the whole Jeet thing came from Solana, is because it's more of a people's chain, right? It's more of like, you know, somebody made like a couple $100, $300, you know, that's a lot of money to somebody versus, you know, a VC where, you know, he just spends that like on his breakfast. You know what I mean? So I think that's where Solana and kind of, the future's headed, and I think it's going to. I don't know. Maybe it's not going to force the VC's hand or that whole ecosystem into Solana, but they definitely can't ignore it. So I think eventually, the real money will come here, and again, I just think it's a people's chain. I don't know. I think that's the way I look at it, and that's where most of the users are, I think, and that's really how I look at it.
What has the development process been like on Solana compared
Really good.
to?
Really good. Yeah, I like it. There's a lot of it's easy. You know what I mean? Like it's easy in the sense that you can use a lot of existing stuff that's already on chain. Yeah, you don't have to deploy independent contracts for everything. There's some pretty good standards, there's some smart people. Certain communities are definitely willing to help more than others. I do feel like you kind of the big communities are kind of closed off. I guess just because there is so much scams too, they just don't want to relate themselves to projects that scam. But in terms of navigation and kind of just help, I mean, it's been good. I mean, the guys at Metaplex, early on really helped us out. Sniper's been a huge help. And just the documentation can get kind of stale sometimes that's out there, but you can navigate. It's a little bit of a debug session sometimes, just trying to figure certain things out. But I mean, it's not, you can navigate it.
For me, I was surprised by it. The launch on Solana, I honestly have enjoyed purchasing on secondary. It's been a better experience than I've been using Sniper. But it does seem like you guys have been able to execute everything that you've wanted to well. But it also seems like, and I know, again, not to keep glazing Beanie here, but he mentioned this also. You guys are creating new mechanics that hadn't been seen for NFTs before on Solana.
Right. Which
actually overall, it's yeah.
Which I don't think could be possible on certain chains. For example, this well, even think about the rev share. Imagine how does that even work on Ethereum on on a small transaction?
You'd have to have some splitter in there,
right? You'd have to, or it would first have to accumulate and then send it, right? It would have to not even cover the gas.
What does that functionality look? I'm just for the technical people here. Oh, it's automated.
It's all automated. Yeah, there's so Metaplex Core has an actual plugin where you can actually add it onto NFTs directly, and then you just set the plugin. You do a rev. You do basically set the rev shares on it, and it's automatically done through Metaplex.
That's so simple.
Right, that's what I'm trying to tell you. A lot of the tech exists there. You just need to take it and turn it into a product. Obviously, we put it into a little. We gamified it a little bit. We didn't just do the simplest effort. Where we could have done. So we originally thought that we were basically going to do the rev share with the owner's wallet address that owned the NFT. But then we're like, no, that's just going to be more complicated because then we need to index it. We need to have an event listener listening when it changes hands, and that could get messy, right? Sure. So we're like, let's just throw it on. Let's just have the master edition because the master edition actually has a token address, right? It has its own address and it can control other wallets and everything. So we're just okay, so let's just create a little PDA here that has the wallet and just throw the royalties in there, and basically they have to go in and claim them. So I mean, it's that's what I'm trying to tell you. It's really once you actually kind of get down to how it works on Solana, it's so easy. It really is.
Do you think more people are going to move to building NFT projects on Solana now, as this narrative gets out that there are features like this? Because look, I've launched NFT projects before. I'm aware of, if you want to launch an EVM project, there are areas that you're going to spend a week or two just trying to solve a very simple functionality.
Right.
Or, especially if you're trying to innovate a little bit.
Right.
But, hearing that there's these tools that are very easy to integrate, do you think that's going to drive more people over there? Plus the culture on Solana? Do you think that we're about to see Solana summer coming up here? Maybe not summer, spring.
Yeah, exactly. I think it was already a summer last summer, right?
Yeah, there was.
I mean, I don't know. Again, it comes down to what I said. whoever controls the flow of the money kind of controls the flow of like, everything, I guess. Because the VCs are kind of, they're on Ethereum and they're heavily invested into abstract. They're going to be funding the teams that are building on those specific, investments that they have, right? So I don't know, like if Solana's just saturated, or there's not even probably big funding on Solana, or some projects are. Again, it's like it's hard to say. You know what I mean? I'm not big into like, and I'm not following. Like I don't know where most of the VC slush is going right now. I don't know if it's on Ethereum or Abstract. I just don't know where it's at right now. But I just think it comes down to that. You know what I mean? So if people are told to build on Abstract, if people are told to build on Ethereum because that's where kind of money's telling them to do it,
Right.
that's what they're gonna build, right? I feel like it all comes down to that. As much as like there was a lot of influence that on me, I was just like, no, I feel comfortable here. I feel like there's a lot more flexibility here, and I like it here. You know what I mean? I know that it's got a little bit of a bad rep. I know that it's got like with the Jeets and all this and scams and whatnot. But I just feel like it's smooth. And even Phantom, my first kind of introduction into Solana, it was with Phantom, and I'm like, man, this is smooth. This is nice.
Yeah.
This is different from MetaMask. And
Yeah,
like,
you don't want to slam your laptop into the ground with Phantom. It's very different. Well, I agree on that take. I certainly think we're going to be moving towards a more users going on and buying their first even NFT on Solana, and then whoever's the most interesting, whatever NFTs are driving the most value, whatever NFTs are capturing a narrative of being creative and innovative, are going to have a real chance of making it through the cycle and lasting, and keeping floor prices high while you have, of course, new entrants coming in every week. And again, that's why this conversation is being had today, because I see that creativity. I see you guys with a roadmap that isn't just hey, we did an innovative mint and you get a bundle, and there are things you guys haven't released yet. And now even after I minted, I thought it was over. I wasn't going to be minting anything anymore. In like 4 days, you're doing another mint, which is free for multipliers.
And the community gets to customize whatever the art's going to be too. So it's like a custom, which I think is cool. I don't know if it's been done. I'm sure it has been done, but I still think it's cool.
Yeah, I want to say there might have been a Polygon project back in the day that did something like that. I can't fully remember. But I mean, it's pushing the standard. It's not a cookie cutter.
Right. No, I think it's cool too, because we can do a PFP, because really we're not a PFP project, right? So we can do this add-on, stacking value onto a PFP collection, which we do for free, and we reward the master edition owner, and we're going to call it the Critters PFP Community Collection. We have our the giveaway that we're doing for custom PFPs. Now there's a lot of cool PFPs out there. The community's pretty artistic and creative, but we're planning on picking probably one of those. I don't know if it's going to be the winner or like another one that we like handpick, but for like the actual collection image.
Oh wow!
So yeah, keep it right in the community.
Again, IP is a driver there as well. There's definitely value in that for sure. I wanted to jump into the value though of some of these assets. We've talked about the masters. I'd love to talk about the multipliers. You have the mint coming up in 4 days. It should be driving people that don't have masters to be going and looking at them, because that's the way to get access to that free mint. Can you touch on the multipliers for people who aren't aware of what they are and what their value proposition is?
Yeah, so let me even start at the beginning. I mean, we had a free spin, and I'm going to get into like kind of how like some of the community is very close here too on this. So we had a free spin for select communities within Solana's ecosystem. I'm not going to name them, but if you were early enough, you know who they were. And there was actually potentially 72,000 free spins available, probably for like 2 weeks. And only a few communities kind of reached out and kind of took advantage of it. while others, we tried to get them involved, and we even gave them kind of like a rundown on the tech, and this is everything, like just even got on like on live calls and live streamed and screen shared what we were building, working on DevNet. Like here's it working. With transactions, and showing we changing the name on chain and stuff like everything. I mean, like just kind of giving them the rundown that this isn't a scam. Like, yeah, I know probably that's what most people are worried about. Like, oh, we don't want to associate with a scam project. And we said we even have like GM Capital, Beanie backing us, and I guess some of these, they're just very they just said no, and they had no interest, and that's cool. I guess people that did say yes, they're the ones benefiting now.
Right.
So I mean that's how that started. Now they're basically boosters, and they're going to boost certain activities within the ecosystem themselves. So the obvious one that's already happened was the first 2,500 mint, which was like our OG phase, which had the highest token allocation on any mint or future mint, since our minting is on a bonding curve. So meaning that out of the 20,000 that's possible, obviously the first people who minted first would get higher token allocations. If you were to actually you could actually stack up to 3 multipliers to boost that allocation even more. So like, let's say you had like a base token, like when you minted, your base token allocation was 1 million. You could have potentially boosted that up to like 3 million. Or more, if you had like certain multipliers. But yeah, I mean, that's basically what they are. They're to increase rewards or activities within the ecosystem itself. And they're gone. They're after this next mint. They're that's it. There's no more. They burn. It's a single use item, meaning that when you use it, you lose it. So
Right.
you got to be strategic about it. Yeah, I mean that's really the simplified version of what it is. It's a booster. It's something that's going to increase your reward or your action within the ecosystem.
It's a mechanic that I think a lot of projects are going to take note of, I think, going forward. We've seen multiplier is, I think, like the very specific terminology here, but we've seen like manipulation, or like whatever the phrase would be. Like they have an ability within an ecosystem to do something. And the first one we saw this for, which I think was kind of like groundbreaking, but was like the sister collection of the mutant apes with the vials. And so you had these vials, and there wasn't like these there's more tiers obviously with the multipliers, but with these vials you had a whole ecosystem of like, is it a level 1, a 2, a 3, and that let you generate something new off of that or apply it to something. I think this idea of having tokens bound to an NFT plus having a multiplier that can also affect that NFT starts to make people think there's a very dynamic aspect to the assets that they're holding. Now, that might only be a one-time thing, but if you start to interpolate that out, you have to understand that, hey, this NFT could be many different things down the line. The stats can change, the image can change, the rarity can change. And that's all based on my actions or what the collection offers me to participate in. And I think that also leads to an ecosystem that has more participation. I'm curious how you're approaching that participation side, because, like you said, you might only have 200 to 500 players at the start, and that number can grow. In incentivizing that participation, how are you approaching that?
I mean, rewards. Everything's all about rewards, right? I mean, it's essentially a stake game with vaults, and each vault you could consider each vault an independent game, where you would earn independent rewards in each vault. So I would look at it like a vault as a quest.
Yeah.
So you'd have like your quest. I'm not going to call it a quest. I would just call it a quest, and then you have like right. So that would be the one where you earn quests, and then I'd have one, maybe where you earn soul, like a soul quest, and then obviously we have our launch platform to kind of mimic some of our minting details. And, we'd give the option to even throw some of those tokens that are being minted off our launch platform into a quest itself, if the project decided they wanted to. So, I mean, that's kind of, our...
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. On top of that, all the assets and all the different parts of this. I'm getting this question quite a bit in the comments here. I gotta bring it up. I gotta give the people what they want. The item shop and ability stones. Can you talk on this? Can you expand? Can you give us?
I can give a little bit of clarity on that. So I mean, the ability stones are. I mean, I'm not going to get into exact like what abilities there are or anything like that. But I can say like abilities are basically. I've given an example. It's like you do certain damage and maybe some sort of increase in attack power or decreases like so you get an ability where where you're attacking something and you decrease its attack power, or you maybe get like a certain HP back from attacking it. That's kind of like without going into exactly what all the abilities are going to be. Those are the abilities. The abilities are going to be mintable with Quest. We're going to make sure that everything that is happening in the ecosystem is with Quest, apart from the additions, which will be in Soul, because those are actually going into the Master Edition owner wallet. So yeah, those are ability stones. Items are basically I've kind of touched base on this. I don't want to get too much into it because I don't want to give away too much, but we've built kind of like a hybrid 404 mechanism for kind of balancing the item ecosystem, the equipment ecosystem, so that you can basically destroy an item and get something back, but you could have minted that item at like, let's say 100 quest, and you held on to it, and now because the mint price is going to go up as more supply goes in, the mint price goes up to kind of help control that like flooding of equipment coming to the market. So now, like, let's say you minted like a pretty, maybe like a medium or not a very good item, right, at 100 quest. So like, let's say in a month from now, that same item type, like a weapon, is minting at 1,000, right? You'll be able to get 15% back of that by burning it into like a burn, and you'll get 150 token back. So you basically minted 100 at 100. It's not very good, but you held on to it, and you actually going to get more than 50% back of what you invested.
But there's incentive to buy early. There's incentive to be participating early because those numbers are always going to go up, and
right.
That's fascinating. The burn mechanics of how you guys are handling the token and the supply for this is, I mean, it clearly, who came up with the whole thought process behind all these tokenomics and mechanics?
I mean, it was me. It was me. Me, and just kind of in being influenced on certain conversations with different people. I would listen. I mean, I'm a good listener. I listen to people, and then I'll digest what they say. I'm willing to listen to anybody, and hear them out and kind of take everything they say into account. It's the collective mindset that essentially is going to make something better, right? Not just a single person.
You can't be a maxi. You can't think that you know it all. Like, you got to be willing to listen to other people's thoughts. I think it's a rare thing in this space, as insane as that sounds to say out loud, but having that ability to just be like, hey, this is how I'm approaching it. Do you have a better idea? Or, tell me why this won't work. I'm totally open to hearing why. It'll set you up for success for sure. The project, I think we're at a point with where you guys are at now where a lot of the future stuff, and obviously ability stones and the item shop and the multipliers are all things that are coming to light. You have you have a very long roadmap here. Can you just tell me, like, what is your end? Like, what is, you wave a wand right now, and all your dreams for this project come true. What's the end goal for you with this?
I mean, I think like expanding beyond maybe just an app. Something maybe dropping something big into an ecosystem, taking learning and kind of obtaining a lot of analytics that aren't possible without actually being, having a product out there to take it in.
Right.
And then kind of use those analytics to maybe even, look into something bigger than just an app. Like, I don't know. I don't want to say exactly, but, something bigger and a bigger product than just kind of like an app, maybe something. I'm big on rewards. So, if I was to ever venture into anything, it would be, you know, rewarding people and kind of like this like affiliate style reward system. And I mean, if I could get even more techie and more kind of like ingrained into like even being able to control a transaction and having some sort of weird mechanism in there that could reward the person who did it or received it or something like that. You know what I mean? Like that could be an interesting future too. So
Right. I mean, and you've been around this space for a long time. From the previous cycle, there's been a lot of pitfalls, but also a lot of wins. Like, what are your biggest takeaways from watching what's worked and what hasn't worked going into this cycle for you as a founder?
So like 2021 or
yeah, 2020. I mean,
2017?
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, okay. From last cycle. Yeah,
last cycle,
yeah. If you're listening, you don't know. Matt's been doing this for a long time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll be honest. Like even in 2012 was more just like dabbling around. Like I wasn't actually serious in it. I just, but it really got more into like 2016, right before the ICO boom. But I mean, I trust. I mean, it all comes down to trust. You know, provide for the community. You know what I mean? The more you can provide for the community, the better. You know, you really have to kind of show the community that you're capable, that you have them in your best interest. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it comes down to anything more than that.
Right. I can't argue with that. That's a straight and simple answer. Keeping it simple. I love it.
Because there's always the biggest communities. I mean, look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin's only Bitcoin because of the people that supported Bitcoin. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, if there wasn't like all these guys going to these like conventions and in these talks with like 10 people, you know what I mean? Like, imagine going to a talk like, you know, back in 2013 with like 10 people listening to you, you know, but they had passion, they believed in it. Right. You know what I mean? And it took that, you know, and it took that to kind of take it to where it is now. And, you know, you just have to believe and you have to have focus and you have to always keep other people in mind. You know what I mean? Like, really have to kind of be mindful of what your community's wanting and asking for. And that's why, like, from day one, since I got on Spaces, I'm like, you know, tell me, you know, I'm listening, I'm reading the chats, you know, I'm taking feedback. It's not too late to hear what you guys want. You know what I mean? So that's why kind of like, I like getting this community feedback loop, you know, just it should always kind of, even though we've already built out a lot of stuff, but I do feel like, you know, the product and the business model should always kind of be built around the consumer stuff, right? The person, the user, everything. So I'm always flexible. I'm always, you know, always going to be looking to kind of be more in tune with the community themselves.
Community is at the heart. It's a lesson that I've learned, certainly myself. One interesting thing about your community is it's already starting to attract big names on the collector side. I know personally big names that are, you know, have 30 plus NFTs and they're buying multipliers and they put, you know, hundreds of ETH in at this point. But on the actual team side and content and community side, big name up on the space yesterday with a big announcement around his leaving of the MLB. Ty Buttery, sorry. Can you just walk me through, because that's insane. The headline there is crazy that he's leaving MLB to jump into NFTs. Can you just give me your take there and explain?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to talk too much on Ty. I mean, I'd rather let Ty talk for Ty. You know what I mean? Sure. I don't know. He'd probably even be willing to get on here if he wanted. I could probably message him right now and get on.
Yeah, shoot him a link. Get him on here.
Yeah. Let me shoot Ty a link. I hate talking for people, and I hate kind of stepping on people's feet.
Yeah. But I think it's cool though.
Let me go on screen right now.
Yeah. I tried to get Beanie on here. I did everything in my power to get Beanie on here. I told him I would sell all of my Pixel Vault assets if he jumped on.
Pixel
Vault. No, but you know, he's a hard one. At some point, somebody will corner him. He'll feel obligated to hop on a space or somebody's stream. And it'll be good. I always love it.
I don't know if a lot of people know this, but he's got a bunch of podcast equipment just sitting there from 2021. He's got hidden away and just kind of collecting dust. So there was an intention there at some point. I don't know if I was supposed to say that, but I don't know if the intention's still there. But I know he's like, I got all this crazy like podcast equipment. I was going to do a podcast and this and that. So I know it's sitting there. I know it's still collecting dust. So
Well,
who
wait,
knows?
just wait. One weekend, he's gonna go. He's gonna watch Anchorman. He's gonna wake up the next morning and be like, you know what? I want to be Ron Burgundy. I'm making my comeback. And he'll be back.
Right. No, I do. I think so too. We'll see. I don't know. It's like it's one of those things where if everybody starts kind of demanding it and asking for it, it could happen type thing. I think, you know what I mean? Like if there's enough demand, it could happen. So I don't know. Ty's not responding to me.
Okay.
So I don't know. So yeah, I mean, Ty is, he's very passionate Web3. So that's all I can. All I feel like I could really say. I don't want to. Again, I don't want to step on toes. I don't want to talk for people. So it's better to let him talk if you wanted to talk.
I think his co-sign share project, though, with all of his moves, is awesome to see. And obviously, I think people should chase their passions, and when they find something that they believe in, no matter what, you gotta cut out the outside noise. I think as much as you said you should listen to your community and build around that, as a person, an individual, making those choices, you should definitely be listening to your heart and your head on what you want to do and what's going to make you happy. But that was cool. I'm glad to see him. I was glad to see him up on stage. I'm excited for what he has to come. If he does jump in here, we can dive more into that. But we don't have to go too crazy there.
Yeah, he's not responding. I don't know. He might be out. It's a weekend too, so
it is the weekend.
This is his day off. So I don't know.
I obviously we have the chat here, and if people have questions, if you guys want to know anything, you can drop a question. I think I might turn this over to you real quick on the side of, we've been talking a lot about what you guys are doing. With the market is doing as well is interesting. I'm curious if you have any takes, or if it's just, hey, that's blinders on, we're working and staying in our lane. AI has been a huge narrative. Are you guys looking at AI in any way?
I mean, I've been following AI for, I don't know, a couple of years now. So I have dabbled around in it. I think it's the future. It could, I think there are applications that, it could definitely have for crypto. I do like some of the projects that are coming out. And then I feel like I'm kind of like on the fence of others, and then others are just clear vapor. So I see the potential. I don't want to, you know what I mean? Like, I hate doing something just to do it because it's the meta. I'd rather bring real value. Again, that's just me. Like, I'm not going to, even if I'm pressured to do it, I'm not going to do it unless I bring real value or bring some sort of uniqueness to it. Right. So again, I do see, like, opportunities. I've explored, use cases, implementations, even model training maybe. But again, it's just like, I really need to focus on this now, and then I can maybe, while this is in progress, kind of little tidbits hit my head. I'm like, ooh, this would be a good spot to like implement AI or something like that. And like, I'm really like on the flow. Like I'm not gonna try to force something into it. You know what I mean? Just because it's the meta. But if I can find, I keep it in my toolbox for sure. And, I'm like, okay, well, this could be a really good application for it here. And it makes a lot of sense. And I think this is it. When you get that light bulb moment, right? I'm not going to, again, like, I'm just not going to try to force something. I need that light bulb moment. Like, oh man, this is it. This is, this is going to kill it type thing.
Yeah, you can't. Again, another responsible like take as a founder to have. I think there's a lot of founders just chasing the latest shiny meta and narrative and saying, okay, all right, I'm slapping AI on this, the car salesman meme, it just, there you go. It's, it's worth 2x now. Can you give me, like, what is your background? Where did you come from? What do you, like, just walk me through your history of crypto and I guess technical background, because it's clear you've been around the block a time or two.
So I studied to be a systems analyst,
Okay.
way back when. So I do have like a very core like logic and flow type background, with flows and making sure like things kind of make sense. That's what like a systems analyst's main job was used. And, we have a very kind of basic, not basic, but a very core type of program logic. Like we understand how programming languages work. We don't necessarily know the exact frameworks or packages or syntax of every single programming language that exists, but we understand that they all kind of derive from the same kind of logic, right? So I mean, that's kind of like, that's basically my background for education. But again, I actually left. I didn't finish my last year, and I took an opportunity to kind of build out this file hosting thing that I had back in the day. I don't want to name it, but it was a pretty big file hosting website. It was in that MySpace era. I was actually moving towards doing taking photos, because again, this is going to sound stupid to a lot of people because it's just so simple right now. But like back in the day, you couldn't take a photo with your phone and
Right.
upload it to the internet easily, right? So I was working on that, but it was really tough because there was no app store, there was no Play Store. Each individual phone had its own OS, and like you had to create software specific for each one, and it was just a really hard and frustrating kind of experience. And I felt like I was maybe a little early. Had I been like maybe a few years doing it a few years later, I could have maybe had a really great product like Instagram or something like that.
Right.
Right. And I didn't have any VC backing. I was doing it all myself. I was funding everything, which is kind of like Google Ads on my website and stuff like that. I had some crazy servers. I think at the time, like the data center I was working from, they were like one of the biggest like porn data centers. So that's just coincidence. But I was doing more traffic than them.
Wait, what?
With more bandwidth. Yeah, I was doing more bandwidth, not traffic, so bandwidth than
Still,
porn
yeah,
sites.
that's insane.
Yeah. Like it was insane. Like they couldn't believe how much. But it was because back in the day with MySpace, you couldn't like you had to hotlink. So if you wanted like music
Right.
or your pictures up on MySpace, you had to basically you had to find a file hosting website.
Right.
You had to upload your photos or your music, whatever you wanted on there.
Right.
Then you create an embed link and you put the link on the MySpace, and then you've got your music and you've got everything. And then my strategy at the time was to go buy up all these little failing file hosting websites,
Right.
and then do a redirect. So they had all these hot links that were
Bro,
broken.
I see why BD fucking loves you. It makes so much sense right now.
Right. So they had all these redirects on MySpace and other websites that were broken, and I'm like, dude, I can just throw up free images. I can throw
it's free real
marketing on it. Right. So I would turn all the broken redirects into an advertisement billboard for my website.
Jesus Christ.
Right. So yeah, but again, it's like it's not such a popular thing anymore because now they all do their own hosting. But at the time, it was pretty brilliant. And it just exploded. I would just go buy these domains. I'd be like, oh, okay. I would see a broken link on like MySpace, or I would even do like backlink checkers and stuff like that for trying to see which domains are trying to or which file hosting domains were using MySpace. And then I'd go and be like, this domain had pretty good Alexa ranking. It's got like 50,000 backlinks. That's 50,000 free advertisements.
Yep.
And then I'd buy it and then set it up and do the redirects and HD access, and boom, it was like, that's it.
Boom. And then you're trying. Yeah. Okay. That's sick.
Yeah.
I mean, that just made me more bullish on the project. I know it's not direct, but that shows like you're a real operator. You're not some guy who just walked off the street in LA who's been fucking, vaping and TikToking all day and just decide I'm going to throw an NFT project together on Solana. And like, you are a person with a real technical background who actually understands like how to put a product together, and actually how to go and attack like a problem. Like you might not call that a problem, but that's a business opportunity, and it's just problem solving at the end of the day.
Right. That's
Okay.
I love problem solving. That's like, I think that's like one of my biggest strengths ever since I was like young. I mean, I love problems and I love solving them. So, you know.
Fucking sick. Okay, so you did that. That's probably what? That's back in like that's early 2000, like 2008, right?
No,
2006?
before that. I think it was 2003,
Gee.
maybe 2004. I don't know. I'd have to look.
Yeah, I was 10. I didn't know what was going on at that point, man. I was just soccer.
Yeah, no, I was young. And I met Beanie right around that time too. So yeah. But yeah, it was interesting. It was a lot different back then. I mean, we were talking about like IRC, which is essentially like Discord now. You know, I had Yahoo Chat, which was like way back in the day. That was when I was a teen. That's like when I was a teen. Yahoo Chat, Messenger, ICQ. But you know, I see the appeal too to Discord. Like, I actually have been coming around on Discord. I've never been a huge fan of it, but then I thought back to like when I was young and I was in IRC. You know, I would be like, oh man, I love that little plus sign I would get, or like that little thing, that role I would get. You know what I mean? Like, I would work for that. I would work for that little, like, just to have a little symbol next to my name in IRC, right? And I'm like, you know, that's essentially what Discord is, you know, and it brings back like, okay, you know, I can relate to that and I can understand that. So
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people, and there's even there's one that was dropped in my Discord of like a Discord competitor coming out. Like, I think the big thing is like where are the smart minds congregating? Where are the people that are building congregating? Where's that conversation happening? Obviously, Twitter is the very public side of that, but if you're not in Discord or you're not in Telegram chats and having those conversations, you're not going to meet the smart people. Like you being in those, I would assume in those chat rooms is how you come across people like Beanie, these smart operators who are in the weeds. They're pushing the boundaries, pushing the limits of, you know, what people accept or what, you know, should be being done. And, you know, that you want to be around those people. Those are people that define what the future is going to look like, because they're not accepting what the future, what today is.
100%.
And I think that kind of wraps up the whole discussion on Careers Quest, which is you guys didn't accept what the meta for Solana NFTs or gaming NFTs was. You said, all right, no, this is what we want it to be, or think it should be, or could become, and mechanics that we think should be there.
Exactly. I saw this tech just sitting there. Nobody's taking advantage of it. And I'm like, fuck, let's do something with it. So
yeah, I think you'll see probably a project or two in the near future start to try to copy. And you know, that as much as you might think that that's a bad thing, it's a good thing. It's because
it's a good thing.
Yeah, it drives back
to the market.
Yeah. So you've very technical background. You've been around. Start out on the Web 2 side of things, in the weeds. Get into Web 3. Have you been actively collecting within the NFT space?
I'm not gonna lie. I was on the fence on NFTs back in the day. Even though Beanie was telling me to kind of like get into it, right? I was actually really on the fence with NFTs also. So I kind of dabbled. I kind of, you know, played around. At the time, NFTs when I was looking at them were more just kind of like art, like a PFP type thing, right?
Right.
And I'm more like a utility person, right? So I need to see utility in something to maybe find a little bit of value in it. At the time, I guess, you know, I did see some innovation, but then I really thought it was just very basic innovation. Like there wasn't a lot of like, you know, like I didn't think like, oh, like, you know, like this is game changing. But then, you know, as time has gone on, you know, I've realized that, you know, it took that for other people to come and build tools and kind of, you know, evolve what, you know, something that was very simple can now become very, you know, something like you can actually make a really good product from it. So, you know, I mean, and that happens a lot in the internet and just digital products, digital, you know, experiences. It usually comes from something you least expect. And then, you know, it just all of a sudden makes sense. Like I was saying with the AI thing, you know what I mean? Like, that's why I'm not against it. I just need to figure it out for myself. how I can bring that onto the table.
Right. Yeah. I think for what we'll see happen the rest of this cycle, you're probably in the near term going to see a lot of people push really hard and slap things on, like I mentioned before. But there's going to be some really sick alignments for things that have been even thought dead. I think you'll see AI finally come back, and it was like, hey, this came out, last cycle, and it died off, and we're gonna integrate AI, and all of a sudden it has a great use case and it has value again.
I think even token bound NFT, like I think it actually has a lot of like future like use cases. Like I think Beanie touched on some of them, but then there's other ones. Like imagine putting an expiry date on them or something, and then you're forced to claim it or something. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like there's like there's potential there. I don't like to get into too much of the speculative nature and stuff like that, but there is a lot of kind of cool, I think, avenues, even financial avenues that even really big players could be like, oh, like I'm surprised this isn't already out there.
Right. Well, yeah, it is interesting actually when you put it that way. What is a futures contract?
What is a futures contract essentially?
Right. Exactly. Yeah, I know. I was like, wait a second. There's actual like real big time like players in the space, like in other industries. I would look at that and go, wait, we can use that same mechanic.
Right. Well, it has to be tweaked, obviously, but yeah, I mean, it's
yeah. That's interesting. Jesus.
I mean, another way to look at it too is you're locking bulk tokens. I mean, obviously, a futures contract would have like, as a contract size. Like if you look at like, I was actually the commodities trader, so like an oil contract comes with a bunch of barrels, right? It's not just one barrel.
Yep.
It's a bunch of barrels, right? So, and you actually have to take delivery of those barrels when the contract expires. Obviously, they've created a really good system where most of the traders never have to do that. But if you look back in 2020, there was a big problem there because if you look at oil, it went to negative, right? It went to negative because people didn't want to have to take delivery because they didn't have the infra. They didn't have the infrastructure to do it. They're just traders. But some of them had to actually, if they continued like holding on to this contract, they actually had to take delivery. So they were paying other people to take the contract because they couldn't take delivery. So, that's why it went into the negatives. It's because they had to pay other people to take this contract off their hands. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely like avenues there to explore with this tech too. I think it's cool because it blocks up tokens, but it keeps them liquid.
Do you look at like external industries and then like functionality and mechanics and say like, oh, like, are you always like thinking through like how you can apply it into the digital like NFT world and Web3 world?
Yeah, I do. I'd like to do that. Yeah, I definitely like to kind of like take real things and kind of how can I kind of create a flow where that's like a real world thing, and then kind of turn it into like a digital thing. Yeah, I definitely like that. I've been digital my whole life. You know what I mean? So it's like it just comes natural to me to be like, oh, how can I do that online? Oh, how can I do that on the internet? You know what I mean? Like.
Right.
It's just kind of always been natural to me. So
again, all good things to hear your founder say if you're a holder of Careers Quest. I mean, this has been this has been a low-key masterclass on how to operate as a founder and how to like sell your project. And I know like we spent a lot of time here definitely talking about the project. But I think this was more of like a crack into like who you are and how you approach building, which I hope more people take the time to understand instead of speculatively jumping into, obviously Beanie has been tweeting a lot and he has a lot of influence, but instead of just like seeing one of his tweets about a project and jumping in, actually taking the time to go understand, okay, can I trust this founder when shit hits the fan? And not saying it is, but if shit hits the fan, can this guy step back, look at the community, and come up with a solution that might have to be very novel, might have to be innovative, might have to be, first time. Can he come up with that? And I think you've spoken to this very clearly and very authoritatively that yes, you have a history and a background that supports that, which is great to hear.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, I really want to be transparent. I really want to, provide as much clarity and I'm here. This is my face. Like I'm not hiding behind a an avatar or a PFP. You know, I mean,
Came right
this
from the
is this is the
gym,
first.
got in, like he's
Right,
locked
right, from
in.
the gym.
He's
I
locked
just came
in.
back from the gym, so that's why I'm in this attire and my hair's all messy and everything. So.
Look, man, I appreciate you coming on. I don't want to take up your whole day. I know you got things to do. It is the weekend, so I'm extremely appreciative of you coming on. Is there anything for people that are listening that you want to leave them with? Any alpha, anything if people haven't jumped in the community yet that are on the fence that you want to tell them to
No, I mean, I
to
would just
join the
say,
community?
yeah, I mean, you know, if you're looking to join the community, again, we've built this out to have different tiers, you know, for so everybody can kind of participate. You know, just have fun with it, and you know, there's a lot of information. You know, spend some time, you know, due diligence, do your homework. No, I mean, you know, just have fun with it. We're going to keep building tools that, you know, people need to kind of navigate through this ecosystem, as we kind of discover that people need them. So yeah, I mean, you know, we're just going to keep kind of building. I mean, building, shipping, building, shipping. I mean, that's the plan. So
It's clear that you guys can ship very quickly because it seems like a tweet goes out, an idea hits, and it's on the site within 24 hours, which seems absolutely unreal.
yeah.
But that's what you need. You need people that can actually produce and put it out and not take a
Yeah,
month.
I think my front end dev actually already threw up the. I think he's like, oh, I'm going to start hinting at the minting tab on the PFP gen. I think I don't know if he made it live or not, but
I might
yeah.
have been up there. I think before we hopped on, I just went through the site one more time to look through, and I think it was because I was like, oh yeah, here comes the mint.
Oh yeah, mint your PFP with a lot. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, yeah, well, I mean, we're just working on UI mostly on that. The actual smart contracts already done. So yeah.
It's exciting. Well, Matt, I appreciate it. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you coming on. I'm excited to see what you guys do over the coming days and weeks. Free mint for the master holders on the 8th. So make sure you don't miss that if you are a holder or if you are joining the community now and buying a master NFT, understand that you have that coming up. A man who delivers nothing but value back to his holders and has no bound of what I think he's willing to explore to bring that value to his holders. Really excited. Thanks for joining. For everybody who tuned in, thanks for coming. And Matt, we'll check in with you soon to see how everything's progressed. But yeah, super excited for it.
Glad to hear it. Have a good day.
All right, guys. See you all on the next one. Peace.